among other things too. As I mentioned earlier, we're coming at you from Boulder, Colorado. And our goal here today is to share with you a demonstration of Monkey Talk. And we'll be going through just a couple of quick background pieces on Gorilla Logic on Monkey Talk, and then I'll let Mike take over with the actual development environment itself and give you some real live examples. I think, Mike, if you wouldn't mind maybe posting a link for everyone. If you haven't downloaded the tool, you can, and then follow along. And then if you have questions as we go through here as well, please feel free to post those in chat. I've got everybody else on mute just because it gets a little confusing with everybody else out on over their laptops, over their phones and cell phones and whatnot. So we'll try to keep that as quiet as possible so we can get our message across. So Mike just posted the link if you want to download that along the way. So we'll get going here. I think we've got some 25 people that are joining us today. Again, real quick background on our company. Gorilla Logic is a very cool company that's been around for 10 years. We're here in Boulder. We also have an office in Bangalore, India, with about 20 folks there as well. Our expertise is all around enterprise application development. We also have created along the way this tool called Monkey Talk, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we've got some great folks. I think we're most well known in the industry as being the 800-pound gorilla, as being the guys that can develop 10 times as much as your typical developer might. And we're pretty proud of that fact, as we have not only a great group of 75 employees, but a great group of really truly satisfied, loyal customers. Here's a look at some of them, around the United States and around the globe, of what we've done with many of our clients. So we do really three things. As I mentioned earlier, we're a services firm. We specialize in mobile, web, and certainly the enterprise technologies. But number one, we do custom application development, whether it's project-based, whether it's specific issues that big companies are facing, or even in talent acquisition when you have spikes and ebbs and flows in your needs. We have lots of different resources that can help. So number two is Monkey Talk, and that's what we're here to talk about today. It's an open source and free automation testing platform that works for everything from iOS to Android to mobile web to Flex, and it's and we'll go into great detail on Monkey Talk. And then the third piece, around what we do, obviously item 1 and item 3, if you're looking at what the heck is the revenue model for Gorilla Logic, we make money obviously doing custom application development. We make money really doing outsourced testing, whether that's complete end-to-end testing or testing that you might use in a cloud sort of relationship where you might upload your tests to the Gorilla Logic cloud and have those run on your behalf. And we'll talk through that a little bit more as we go through here as well. So, these are some of the kind of how we do this. But I think that, if you had to sum all of this up, we have some really passionate people that are driven around quality and trying to make, the best possible software. And I think that that's what you'll see when you really take a look at what we've done, both from our experience and what we've done in Monkey Talk as well. These are some of our, expertise areas that you can look at here, from I think the standard stuff from Java to iOS to Android to HTML5, and we do everything from basic architecture assessment all the way down through development, testing, and QA as well. If you look at Monkey Talk, which we're here to talk about today, this is the basics of Monkey Talk. Cross-platform, that if your apps are functionally the same, you can create a test in iOS and actually run that test on an Android device. We have a cloud-based test execution process that can go across a wide variety of versions, devices, etc. We can do everything from simple record and playback to native code and integration as well. As I mentioned, the price is right. It's free. And as I also mentioned earlier, that how we make money is our enterprise development services. We offer quick starts around Monkey Talk. So if you'd like to have a Monkey Talk expert on site for 1, 2, or 4 weeks, we can arrange for that, and we can create a very specific list of tasks that we can accomplish while we're there and get you up and running and going, getting a lot further down your automated testing path with a Monkey Talk expert. So with that, let me turn it over to Mike here. Mike, I'm going to give you control so everyone can see your development environment, and I'll do that here shortly. And so you should see that here in a moment. Got it there, Mike?
You guys, can you see my screen now?
I can. I'm sure everybody out there in muted land is saying yes, but I'll speak for everyone else. I know that there's quite a few of you out there on the line. We got a couple of yeses. Thanks everybody for letting us know. So we'll let Mike take it away with Monkey Talk.
All right. As Mike mentioned, I'm Mike Wells, a senior consultant at Gorilla Logic. I'm glad you guys came to hear about our exciting new test platform, Monkey Talk. It's a good idea to go ahead and download the software so you can follow along on your computer. You can download the software at the address in the chat window. A little bit about Gorilla Logic. Gorilla Logic was started as a Java consulting shop. Our development expanded to Flex in 2008, and we realized that there's not a good testing platform for the software that we were developing. This gave a way for us to develop the first revision of our testing tools, FlexMonkey, which was designed for testing Flex applications. About the same time we were wrapping up with development of the FlexMonkey, the Apple Store was becoming huge, which paved the way for our iOS functional testing tool, PhoneMonkey. And as you know, Apple's continuing to grow, and today they just released the iPhone, or mentioned the iPhone 5, so great news there. After we developed the PhoneMonkey for iOS, we decided that we may as well cater to the other half of mobile development, and we made Android Monkey, which was for testing Android applications. This kind of rapid development on all these different testing platforms gave us 3 separate products, which, as you know, is complicated to maintain 3 different products which all do virtually the same thing. So we decided to combine them all into one product, which is called Monkey Talk. All of our products are released as GNU copyleft, which means that you're free to use the products however you like. You can't redistribute them in any way for any price greater than free. So, in other words, you can use it to test all your software all you want. You just can't give our software away. You can't charge people for our software. Monkey Talk can be thought of as 3 separate projects. Monkey Talk, the scripting language, which is a kind of a testing language that we developed here at Gorilla Logic, kind of a meld of a bunch of different testing languages that we saw, and we came to the conclusion that this was the best way to be able to store a test, a functional test. The second part is Monkey Talk, the IDE, which gives you the ability to be able to write these scripts. It helps you out with some code completion and recording and playing back of your test. And the third very important piece are Monkey Talk agents. And an agent is a library that's linked into your application that provides Monkey Talk the ability to talk to and record from your application. So you can kind of think of it as a test VM. Any platform that Monkey Talk records from or plays back to has to have an agent. And this agent takes the form of like a library that's compiled into your application. And in iOS, this is a .a file. In Android, it's a jar file. In Flex, it's a SWIC file, and so on and so forth. We have lots of different platforms that we we test on. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about how that works in just a minute. A little bit more about MonkeyTalk, the scripting language. It's a simple format testing language that I mentioned we developed here. The command under the first bullet point is an example here. Input, name of field, enter text, hello world. So you have a component type, component locator, which in this case is name of field, an action, and some arguments that you send into that component. And in this case, this is a component of your test that would put hello world into your application under test, into the name of field input box. As we've been developing these testing tools and talking with members of the QA community, we found that the problem with testing tools was that recording sometimes didn't work for certain components, and for hard to reach areas, it was better to let the testers enter the commands by hand. And we also found that users wanted the ability to be able to do control flow, and so we provided the ability to export all these tests as JavaScript. So you can export the test and run it as JavaScript and have all the power of JavaScript to go along with it. We also give data driving as a part of MonkeyTalk. The data driving is really easy, as I'll show you shortly. You can just give it a CSV file, and it'll run through your tests and run through all that data. So Daryl has a question. We'll receive a copy of this PowerPoint after the meeting. I'll be glad to send it up. I'm actually recording this meeting as we're going through it now, and we'll be posting the recording on the internet so you can access it. And as everyone sees, there's questions coming in the chat as we go along. And feel free to ask questions while we go along. I want to keep this sort of dynamic so it can be a dialogue to talk back and forth about different problems or issues that you face when using the software, or just things that you're curious about if you're new to the software. So the next question we get is, can you use an external data input enter text for example in XML? So yes, that is how the data driving works. You'll have parameters that go into your script, and the script can use that parameter as a variable anywhere inside of the script. And in just a minute, I'm gonna pull up the application itself and the MonkeyTalk IDE and do some recording and testing, and I'll actually demo that in just a moment also. MonkeyTalk is MonkeyTalk, the language in itself is it's high-level operation gesture recording and scripting, which means that instead of saying that we're clicking on coordinate X, Y, you get an actual button was clicked and its name was OK, and it got sent the action tap. And the language is really succinct and to the point. I feel like that we shortened it as much as we could and didn't shorten it any shorter than that. Data driving is built in, as I mentioned before. Also, it's cross-platform, which means that you can record your test on iOS and then play your test back on Android, or vice versa if you like. And all of the language is the same across the platform, so you can record and play back, and your test can sort of go along with the evolution of your application as you get into more and more platforms. The IDE is it gives code completion. It has DVD style tools, controls for being able to do record and playback. We have a really nice report viewer, and it's kind of like if you've used Eclipse before, it's kind of like the JUnit report viewer. And again, I'll pull that up and show it in just a moment. And you can dump out your component tree, so you can see all the controls that are inside of your application. So the next question that we have is about the cross-platform compatibility, and the question is, do the apps have to be exactly the same? So they have to have the same components on the screen, on each one of the screens. You can think of the test as going through and saying, I'm going to click on this button, click on this button, click on this button, enter into this text field. And if these components aren't visible on the screen, if, for instance, you put the info button for a particular thing on a separate screen, you can use the same test, but you'll have to make some. Your test will have to be sort of conditional based on platform. The next question we have is, can you discuss the specifics of the mobile and, if available, desktop web app support? So we support web views in Android and in iOS, and we have support for Chrome, Firefox. I think I just tested that recently, and I think it's working for actual desktop web. So the desktop web uses controls very similar to Selenium. So in the same way you can record with Selenium, you can record with MonkeyTalk. And as far as the web view, it works pretty seamlessly. It's pretty slick. We have a web view built into our demo application that we provide that you can sort of play around with, and I'll show you that also whenever I bring up the app. Next question is, does this include support for OpenGL applications on iOS and Android? And the answer to that is no. We don't. We only support the native sort of components in iOS. The OpenGL game type stuff is not an area that we've gone into yet. So the agents work like, and here's all the platforms that we support: is Chrome, Firefox, Flex, Android, and iOS. And the way that these work is all these platforms have agents that are built into them, and then you include this library into your application. And then once this library is in your application, it sets up a little HTTP server that listens to commands that are coming over to it. And once the device gets these commands, it can play them back. It has hooks into the SDK to be able to play all these back, and vice versa for the IDE. So in that case, the library works as a little HTTP client, and then talks back over to the IDE, so the IDE can get the commands and record those. As I was just mentioning, it's actually JSON that's communicated between the two. So if you ever did like a little wire sniff to see what was going on in between the two things, there's like a little JSON message going one way and JSON messages going the other way between the IDE and the application. And how to actually instrument your application, and we call instrumenting, that's whenever you actually link the MonkeyTalk library into your application. For each particular platform, we have that listed on the website, and I'm going to go ahead and post a link to where that is here in the chat. I think I think that I have to be outside of. Never mind. I'll post that momentarily. So the way that we hook into a software development lifecycle typically is that the development group gives the QA group an instrumented version of their application. The QA group then begins to write tests, just doing recording and playing back inside the application, and sort of builds a regression suite that covers all the areas that they feel like they need to. And then these tests go into a Subversion or a source code repository, which can be accessed by a CI environment, which can pull these tests down. And then each time the software gets released, it goes through a QA cycle and runs all those regression tests, and then goes back to the QA department, and then they write more tests and test their tests, and then back and forth until the software is perfect. So we offer 4 convenient ways to be able to run your tests. One is as you record, you can play back immediately. We have a command line runner, so you can just type in the test that you want to run, and the test will go through and run from a command line. We have an Ant runner, and we also hook into continuous integration like Bamboo or Jenkins. So at the link that you got a if you downloaded the software, you got sort of a big folder with a bunch of stuff in it. So let me go ahead and I'm going to pull up the demo now. So after you downloaded, you got this set of stuff. And inside the download, there is the agents, which are different libraries that I mentioned before. The Ant target, various browser code for being able to connect to desktop web, some documentation, our license, which I mentioned, is GNU copyleft, the IDE itself, the command line runner, and some sample applications. And I'm going to run this sample application, the sample Android application to get us started. We have a question in the forum here. Does MonkeyTalk hook up well with JetBrains TeamCity continuous integration? Anything that can run an Ant script, it can connect with. So I haven't personally connected it with JetBrains TeamCity continuous integration. But my guess is if it can run an Ant script, then yes, it won't have a problem. So this is the IDE, and it initially asks you for a workspace. So if you're familiar with Eclipse, you'll see that this sort of paradigm is exactly the same as Eclipse with how this works. And if you don't use Eclipse, you'll catch on pretty quickly. So the first thing you want to do is create a project, and I'm going to call this one and a project is sort of like just a folder to hold your test. The next thing you want to do is create a few scripts. So there's a MonkeyTalk project, and a MonkeyTalk project is built up of suites and scripts. And suites can call scripts. So you start off with a script, and I'm going to call this one script 1, and I'm going to launch I think I'm going to launch iOS. I have an iOS app and an Android app to test. So I'm going to launch this iOS app real quick. So here's the iOS simulator with just a typical iOS simulator. And what I want to do from here, after I've got the simulator started up and I have the application linked in, I want to actually connect to the device. So you can connect to the simulator. You can use just the simulator, or you can connect to a real device. Also, if you have the IPA installed on a real device, and the real device is on your same network, you can just use a network connection to get over to the device to be able to do recording and playing back. For the time being, since I'm not gonna turn the camera around, I'm gonna just use the simulator. So whenever I connected, you see this record and play button light up. So I can hit the record button, and you can see as I go through the app over here that things are being recorded as I go along. And then I can take that same recording and then play it right back. And you'll notice in this test there was an error. And what happened is I tried to click on the logout button before the logout button showed up. Whenever we do recording in MonkeyTalk, we don't take into consideration the amount of time between clicks that happened. So we provide this thing called think time, which allows you to be able to put a certain amount of time between when this command is going to be executed. So what that does is what I just did here is I said, well, wait for the server to respond back after I log in before you try and hit the log out button, and wait for 3 seconds and then hit the log out button. We also have the concept of suites, as I mentioned before, which a suite can call a test. And we have setup and tear down, which if you've gotten started writing some tests, you can know kind of how the how setup and tear down works. Each time you start a test, setup happens just before the test, and tear down happens right after the test. So in this case, I'm going to call and then we can. What this does is just call that same script that we just ran. And what's interesting about suites rather than scripts is that they suites are kind of the main running operation for tests. So we give a lot better reporting here for being able to communicate this across different places. So after you've run a suite, you'll see that you get this little JUnit view that shows you a green bar whenever you pass your tests, which is just an Eclipse view of this XML file. And we also provide this HTML view as well that is beneficial whenever you plug into like a CI environment. And I'm going to show a different test in just a minute that has a little bit more interesting results. So I see that we have a couple of questions over here. Let me scroll up and grab these. So the first question is, where are the unique IDs of the app components? So I think you're asking about unique IDs for the components, and this comes from actual IDs of the components. If we don't have an ID, we can use accessibility labels as well, and that's where the IDs come from. The next question is, what happens if an interrupt occurs? So if an interrupt occurs, like someone shuts off the phone, the test ends, because we have to have the JSON server pulled up on the app to be able to be making any calls over. So if an interrupt occurs, then the test ends, and then we say it's a failure. So the next question is, so there isn't a way to have it automatically detect when an object has become available. No wait until available feature. No, that we do not have that. The next question is, our app is capable of being launched by tapping on a hyperlink in an email which contains data. We need to kick off certain functions of our app. Is there a way to simulate this with MonkeyTalk? No. So one of the sort of drawbacks to our approach is that we don't have any access to outside of the application. The strength of that is that we don't require any jailbreaking. No form of jailbreaking is required to be able to make this happen. So yeah, as far as things like that, what you could end up doing is creating two separate applications. One to sort of simulate the hyperlink in the email, and the test can click on that, and you can have the MonkeyTalk code built into that project, and then whenever it launches the other application, then the connection just sort of swaps over to that. So the next question from Felipe is about how about an interrupt such as a text message or a phone call, and those would be about the same. If the interrupt comes in and the application is still up, then we'll still be able to make calls over to that. And then if the app goes down, then we won't be able to continue the test. So this might be a good time also to show that we also have this thing called verify. So a verify is sort of the meat and potatoes of a test. So what that is we want to see if a particular field is what we think it's going to be. So in this case, this is sort of a silly example, but as you noticed when I came back to the login screen, other than the prompt text, the text feels blank. So I just want to verify that in my test to be sure that it's blank. But I'm going to pretend like I'm not really verifying that I'm going to verify something else, that it should be, that what I think it should be is enter your password. So when we put so this is going to give us a good example of a failure and what happens whenever the app fails. So you can see that this test failed. It has a red bar here. It says we expected to enter your password but found blank. You didn't enter, so that the message that we give back is you didn't enter a password. And in our HTML report, you also get to see, you get the error message, but you also get a screenshot. So anytime that there's an error in the test, you also get a screenshot, and really helps identify what was going wrong at that time. The next question that we have is there a way to make MonkeyTalk skip a failed action and continue moving on through the recorded script? Yes, there is. We provide something called an abort on error modifier. The documentation is on the website, and I can't remember exactly how to spell if it's camel cased or not, or else I would just put one in here. But you can choose whether you want the test to abort on failure or to continue to go on failure. And we normally let it continue to go, or we fail due to the fact that you're normally in an unknown state whenever this happens. So the next question from Felipe is, can I expose application functionality in a script rather than recording things? Yes, so you can just hand type all of these scripts. So let me pull this up. All these test scripts are actually just text files. So in this little tab here gives you the text file view of these. And you can see that the command language is really simple. Just here's the component type, the component name, and the action that's being sent to that. And this one has a few arguments in it. So this one sends puts the name Mike, or puts the text Mike into the username field through the action enter text. So you can just go through that way. And what's even cooler than that is you can export it as JavaScript. So instead of calling this as MonkeyTalk, I can export the JavaScript, and then I have all the control flow of JavaScript, and I can completely just type and hack away in here and say, if I want to make some control flows stuff, I can. In this particular case, I'll be doing the same test twice, or you have all the power of JavaScript here to be able to run your test also. So in this case, let's go over and pull the test suite up, and we can run this, and you'll see that it'll actually go through the same test twice, which is just that loop that I added there to be able to go through things. The next question is, what I meant is exposing a function from the game application through the MonkeyTalk library and call this for my script. We were working on this feature, and I think we have it in our next release, and it's going to be called Execute, and you'll be able to execute any thing that you have there to be able to you can execute any function that you have. We've provided in a couple of our other tools, and I think we'll be able to do this also. Well, I don't have a demo prepared for that, but I think that it's in the next release. So something else that we do that is pretty cool is the ability to do data driving. So I have this script, this sort of happy path script that I created here that was going through the application, and we talked about this a little bit earlier about how do you do data driving. So I'm going to show you how fast and easy it is actually to do data driving here. What I want to do first of all is I want to create some variables inside of my script. So I'm going to define a few variables: username, password, and I'm going to access these variables. And you do this by variables are wrapped in $ curly bracket, close curly bracket. So instead of using hard-coded values, I'm going to use these values that I'm passing in. So now this script is parameterized and can take values from outside whenever it runs. So I can either do something like run and then type in mic and password, and then that passes these values into the application, or I can do something a lot more interesting and say and do run with instead. And then what this does is it uses the name CSV file to be able to go through the application. It uses the CSV file instead of using the no, it has to be yes, it does have to be CSV. It doesn't have to be the extension CSV, but we are reading comma separated values. The other question we have is object spying available? So this little tree button up here at the top gives you the ability to see the component tree for this application. So you can click on that and see all the components that are inside the application. Let me run this real quick, and then I'll pull that up also. So now what will happen is we'll run this test, and it'll actually go through with the name CSV file that we provided there. So I'm going to just pull up my slide deck again real quick and be sure I'm not missing anything. But I think that is that's kind of Monkey Talk in a nutshell. Also, whenever you're recording events, we also have. Sure, I can pull up an example of the CSV file real fast. I did. I actually typed the CSV while we were going, but the CSV file, you see these variables that we've defined here, like username and password, which are defined for the script. In the CSV file, you have username and password, or whatever the variable names are, as the headers, and then each of the variables is here. And this is the same kind of this is the standard CSV where commas separate and then strings are combined with the quotes. So you can use spaces and commas inside of quotes. Next question is, can I launch my phone application from Monkey Talk? And how would an application crash be resolved or reported? It would be reported as could not find a particular component. We'd go and try and find the component, and if it completely crashed and didn't respond back to our commands, then it would actually say application crash inside of the report. So that is do you get a call stack? No, you don't get a stack trace from your application. Please go ahead and add. Anybody else have any more questions? I'm glad to answer them. The next question is, how about my application launching from Monkey Talk? So we have the ability to launch the emulator and the simulator, the Android emulator and the iOS simulator from inside of the Ant task.
So while you're talking there, Mike, or if you want to answer that one too.
We don't have the ability to actually launch the device itself. No. So the next question we have is, this might tie into Aaron's object targeting question, but is there an easy way to determine the line or property path for a UI table view other than through the component tree? No. We used to have, in one of our other tools for Flex, we had this kind of application navigator thing, which we might be providing in future releases also, which will allow you just to scroll over your application and then see what property paths are for particular buttons. The next question is, how about loading files or integrating with Lifecycle for Flex code? So we are able to test in Flex. We do have a Flex agent, and I'm not quite sure what you mean by loading files in that context. The next question is, where do I put the agent on my iOS device and where on the Android? So this documentation is on the website, and let me post you that link real fast. But let me see. I couldn't copy this just a moment ago because I was in presentation view. So Daryl, that's the answer. That's an answer your question there about where to put the agent. The next question we have is tab bar command. Hold on just a moment. Okay, this thing won't get any bigger. Okay, so tab bar command crashes in iOS when I use my applications. This is a Monkey Talk issue. It wasn't. It was a Monkey Talk issue, and we've corrected that in the latest release that hopefully we'll have out in the next couple of weeks. The next question is, can you provide an example of recording on a Flex or Flash page, or is it similar to the Android demo? It is similar. I will pull one up in just a moment if we have time. There is an application. Yeah, let me just pull one up real fast. I can let's see if I can get it open in time. So this is sort of an example application that we have up to be able to. Oh, wrong one. To be able to test out how Flex works. So here's a Flex application that you can test it out with, and in the same way, it just create a new script and you connect to a Flex app. And then you can hit the record button, and it works the same way as the Android guy does to be able to start doing recording in here as well. So. The next question, let's see. Can one script talk to two agents and retrieve something from a phone and then feed it to Firefox or Chrome? Unfortunately, we don't have that type of stuff. I think that we've had a lot of questions about that type of thing, and hopefully we'll be able to move into that in the future. That's definitely something that's on our minds as far as something to do. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting to everyone's questions. I am for some reason the little chat thing won't get bigger whenever
it's very small.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm scrolling through and finding the next one. Any performance impact on the application? We haven't seen any performance impact on the application in iOS. And some applications recently we've heard of recording delays. Whenever you actually record things, they're taking a little time. We have our iOS guy on it, and it should be fixed very soon, but it is not as of yet fixed, and hopefully we'll have it in the next release. I think he was hot on the trail of getting a fix for it just recently, and hopefully we'll be able to have it be able to have it in the next release. The next question is, are you just using accessibility labels for iOS components to identify them? Yes, we are. And the next question is, can you show us an example of MT in action using a dynamic app? A dynamic app might. Can you expand a little bit more about what you mean by a dynamic app? Can you have multiple Monkey Talk sessions open on multiple Firefox browsers? No, you only connect to one browser at a time. Can we automate gestures using MT? Yes. So in Monkey Talk, there's a drop down here. This is a sort of in the newer version that we have. Whenever you record touch events, there's kind of three different things that people normally mean whenever they ask about a touch event. Sometimes a touch event means a slide, sometimes it means a drag, and sometimes it means a move. And in the next release of Monkey Talk, you get to choose which of those three that you want to record whenever you record. So you can record that we use a little math to decide whether it means a right or a left swipe or up or down swipe, and then if you do a drag, then we just record your start and end components, and a move records all your components. The next question we have is installing the iOS. The iOS agent involves using Xcode. Do I need to have a Mac to install the agent? Unfortunately, yes. Well, you know, if you can put, I'm not sure in which development platform that you're using, but if you can include a .a file with your application, then you can, in fact, use whatever development platform you want. And if you can include a .a through Windows, then you can do it. Can you call back in ActionScript or FlexCode using this? Not currently. We hope to have that in the future. The next question is, are there any limitations of Monkey Talk when compared to PhoneMonkey for iOS? No. There are no gaps that we know of between PhoneMonkey and Monkey Talk. We do have a few gaps between FlexMonkey and Monkey Talk. One of those being the Component Explorer that we introduced recently, and the other being the ability to call functions inside of Flex, to be able to just call a function inside your application. When is the next release for the pinch gesture, and is the pinch gesture supported in the next release? The next release is going to be in the next couple of weeks. We don't have an exact date for when we're going to be doing the release, but the pinch gesture will be supported. The next question is what I meant by a dynamic app. Was an app that's populated with content streamed through a feed. For instance, videos and images could change on a daily basis. I don't have a demo to show that. I don't have a demo to show that. I will try to work on something like that, some kind of demo to be able to show something like that, and see if we can get something up. But yeah, I don't have anything like that currently. Okay, well, I will definitely send over the demo. Aaron's is going to be the last question, and then I'm going to turn this back over to Mike. The next question is, shall MT capture all navigation screenshots by default, or do we need to provide a specific command? So you do. So anytime there's an error, then we take a screenshot and then put that in the report. But you can do anytime that you just want to create a screenshot and then add that to the report. Say I wanted to do it right after I entered this. I can do device screenshot, and it'll take a screenshot right then at that particular time. All right, thank you guys so much. As I said, I'm going to turn this over to Mike. I think he's got one last thing to cover with you guys, and then that'll be it. And again, it was really nice to get to talk to you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Mike. So just as a wrap up here, I mentioned earlier, a lot of you had some great questions, and obviously it's a very complex tool. One of the things we do to help is we have quick starts that go right along with Monkey Talk. The quick starts vary from 1 week to 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and we can come up with whatever you want to get done, but it's essentially having a Monkey Talk expert at your disposal for a period of time, accomplishing the things that are most important to you and to your development. And really everything that you see on the screen now, from record and playback to customization to building new features, training, and support is actually included in that fee as well. So if you're interested in that, please contact me. Mike, if you want to go one more forward. The other things that I wanted to talk about Whoops.
Oh, sorry. Let me just turn screen sharing over to you. Might be the best thing to do.
Actually, I don't have it, so if you can do it, it'd be great.
Okay. I think that's the last slide I actually have in this deck, so.
That's probably right about where we need to be.
Okay.
Let's see. No, I guess so. Quick starts, is one thing we can talk about. The other is, our outsourced testing that we can help with that, as well as Cloud Monkey. So we'd love to talk about that. I think the next slide was really my contact information. If you have questions and want to talk further, please feel free to reach out and contact me. It's mike.hogan, that's mike.hogan @gorillalogic.com. And I'm happy to answer those questions and hopefully see if we might be able to work with you down the road. I think there was a couple of, thanks Jen. Jen just posted my email address out there for everyone. If you need further contact information, I'm happy to answer your questions.